And hello, good afternoon. Grandmother clock is chiming in the background. I hope you're well. We are well. I'm Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey, where I talk about how I've lost 97.4 pounds since starting the ketogenic protocol, how you may be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your life, like I did. So thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your Saturday, if you are seeing this live. Today's topic is keto for everyone. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the ketogenic protocol, it is one whereby you lower your carbohydrate intake to a level where your liver stops pushing out like a fire hose. And when that happens, our bodies happily turn over when the glucose tap is turned off to burning ketones or fat for fuel. That's what it is. And it's a really delightful way to nourish ourselves. The food is very nutrient dense. The tenets are this, as I learned them and have practiced them. Keep your carbohydrate intake to 20 grams or fewer a day, total, not net. If it's not on page 4, link below, don't eat it, although you don't need a page of food. It's just eat fatty sources of protein, a few non-starchy vegetables, full-fat dairy if you can tolerate it, not unlimited. But if it's not on page 4, don't eat it. Don't eat if you're not hungry, and stop when you're satiated. That's it. So, it sounds so straightforward. You would think, well, anybody can do that. I will tell you that the food part is pretty easy. I mean, sometimes we want to make things complicated because somewhere in our brain, we really don't want to give up the food that we really like. We don't want to give up French fries and snickerdoodles and Hershey's Kisses and pasta and French bread. And that's fine. But it's not complicated. You just simply lay off the carbs. Some people will ask me, where do I start? Next time you eat, lay off the carbs. For those of you who don't know my personal story, I was morbidly obese for right at 30 years, from my mid-20s to my mid-50s. I had tried all the things. You can go to my blog, link below, look at my before photos, which are not even my before photos. They're kind of not even from my heaviest, because those photos, have been banished. I tried, there's some when I tried the summer of the triathlon, sprint level triathlons, the move more, eat less. I tried just about everything. I didn't try Weight Watchers. And I might have, except that there was no way I was going to get on a scale in front of another human being, much less a group of people, and report what I weighed. But like many of you, I tried everything. And then finally I gave up on losing weight. I was postmenopausal. I didn't feel good. I had not been able to, I was very successful in essentially every other area of my life. And I had a great life. I just was unhappy with myself. So now I have an even better life because I have a great life and I'm happy with myself. But I just couldn't find out the trick to losing weight. So I gave up. I threw in the white towel. But I did not want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes, which I knew was next for me. So I Googled how to not take insulin for type 2 diabetes. I came across the famous white coat video of Dr. Eric Westman from Duke University, who I'm happy now to say is a friend, and he's a friend, and we do monthly Durham support group meetings online, first Tuesday of every month. You can see that on my schedule and follow me on Crowdcast. You'll be notified, and it's free. Anyway, I saw the video, and it was very simple. It's not on page 4. And why is it called page 4? Because he hands a 5-page stapled thing together to his clinic patients, and page 4 is the food list. If it's not on page 4, don't eat it. So I said, okay, well, I can do that. 20 grams, zero is fewer than 20. I can do that. So I started that. And one thing led to another. Not only did I feel better almost immediately, joint pain resolved, mood was regulated, acid reflux gone, ulcerative colitis symptoms gone, and I started losing weight, and my blood sugar is pristine. So is my blood pressure. I've been doing this for over 7 years now. So all of that is by way of saying, the protocol is you lay off the carbs. There are no percentages you need to monitor. There are no pie charts you don't have to count calories, although calories ultimately count. That's where the don't eat if you're not hungry and stop when you're satiated part comes in. Because you can be in ketosis, burning fat for fuel, and put on weight because you're overeating. Beautiful, if you eat a 96-pound steak, you can put on weight. Anywho, so there's resistance in trying this. And let me tell you what, the same thing doesn't work for everyone. This will work. This will work. It'll work for pretty much everybody. There's no medical condition which precludes being successful at this. There's no downside to it. All you're doing is laying off carbs. And by the way, carbs equals sugar. Does anybody really believe that we don't get enough sugar in our lives, that sugar is good for us? No. Well, maybe you do, but ultimately, this just may not be for everyone. Well, we know it's not for everyone because most people don't do it. More and more people do. So what's the point of talking about this? Well, I have to tell you, I asked my lovely mate. Every week I do YouTube live streams, and I want to have a topic, and I want it to have some kind of perspective on it. Because all I can do is talk about my experience, what I've learned, my interpretation of the information, and the fact that I've been very fortunate to literally rub elbows and hang out with the smartest people around who are experts in this field. And I said, well, you hear what I hear. You hear the messages that I receive, that I get, the questions I get. And he just said, well, maybe people need to know that they shouldn't do this if they're not ready to do it. I don't think there's necessarily danger to going on and off and on and off, but it's certainly probably not helpful. And if you find yourself not being able to string together 5 days, maybe this is not for you yet. I'm not saying that it's not for you, period. It just may not be for you yet. For me, I knew that low carb worked since 1977. I was a sophomore in college. I put on like 13 pounds or 12 pounds, maybe it was. I didn't want that. So I got a copy of the Atkins Diet Revolution, flip, did the induction period. And in 2 weeks, I lost the weight. I was done, threw the book away. And then over the course of my adult life after that, when I became very heavy, I would try it again. And I wasn't ready. I made all the excuses that we make. I use food to cope. No, we use food to not cope. Food is my friend. Well, if food is your friend, you need to get out more. I mean, I've said these things to myself. I'm a stress eater. Well, please tell me when there's no stress in the world. And how does eating help the stress? How does it fix the situation? I said all this, but I didn't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes. That was my line in the sand. For some people, it's having reached a certain weight on the scale. It's like, I cannot imagine that I ever would have weighed 150 pounds, right? If I'm 151, disaster. For some people, it's a different number on the scale. For some people, it's wanting to come off of medications because this is a very healthful way of eating, and many people come off of many medications. But if you're not there yet, it's okay. And so why not? What's the harm in trying? There is no harm in trying. But if you really in your gut, if you find yourself coming up with explanations for yourself why this won't work, I call them the yes buts. Someone says, well, how do you do it? And the person replies, well, yes, but I have hypothyroidism. Well, that's really not, that doesn't preclude this. There's no harm in this. Well, yes, but I live with people who would not eat this way. Well, then you have to make a decision about whether are they going to provide their own food, or you can prepare the same food and simply lay off the carbs, or maybe it's time for somebody to learn how to cook. Yes, but okay. So for me, by the time someone gets to the third yes, but I say, this just may not be the way to go for you right now. And that's okay. But if you kind of feel yourself making explanations or hoping for explanations why this won't work, because at the heart of it, you really don't want to give up the chips, don't set yourself up for failure. And it's not a failure, but we would feel like it's a failure. Again, here goes Casey again. trying and failing. Don't set yourself up for that. You know, there's an old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher presents themselves. And I'm not talking about me being presented as a teacher, but when the student is ready, when you're ready to learn, the universe provides the way to learn it. It's not for everyone. And some people are very healthy, happy, fit, and they follow the standard American diet, or they follow a vegetarian diet, or they are successful on Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig or whatever. Did I say Greg? Jenny Craig? Jenny Craig, or something else. There are many paths that can lead to the same destination. It's not one way or the highway. This will work. And as Dr. Westman has been quoted as saying from one of his patients, the patient said, I remember you telling me, doctor, that I can guarantee you this will work. I just can't guarantee you'll do it. And that's the piece. It's the actual doing of it. You know, the downloading of the apps, the purchase of the cookbooks, the hours spent looking at videos, the, purchasing of kits and powders and oils and meal plans, that actually doesn't do it. You actually have to do it. And I will tell you, 100%, there is not one thing you need to purchase to be completely successful at this. All you're doing is laying off carbs. And if it takes a couple of days for that to kick in, and it's okay, but what about cravings? They pass. A craving is just a craving. And after you don't eat something for a while, you're not going to crave it anymore. And as I often say, treat a craving like a stray cat. Don't feed it if you don't want it to come back. And I can say, because I have a 17-and-a-half-year-old cat that lived in our side yard for 17 years, and now she lives in my house because she's frail. And ask yourself, do you find yourself doing the yes, but okay, you're not ready. And that's okay. Maybe in 6 months you will be. But it's not for everyone. And we can't want it more for other people than they want it for themselves. It's just, we can't. I certainly can't. You can't either. People have to want to help themselves. And when they're ready to, they will. Now, I am going to give a quick little shout out to patrons. I know some of them are here. I have a private support group on Patreon. And in that private support group, I do 20 videos called snippets a month from my kitchen counter, before makeup, sometimes before coffee. And the topics are suggested by the patrons. I do 20 of those a month. I do a handful of patron-only video live streams on Crowdcast a month, and a handful of patron-only video group sessions on Zoom a month. And there's the occasional discount for swag. So I want to thank the patrons very much for that. Also, Shameless Commerce Division, and I'm going to get back to the topic in a moment. Spiral Go Keto with Casey 12-month record book, which is full of trackers and coloring pages and inspirational quotes and things like that. You can buy the spiral-bound version at my blog. It will take longer to get to you, and it's a couple of bucks more expensive. And you can get the perfect bound version at Amazon. It's a couple of bucks less expensive, and you'll get it faster because Amazon. And guess what I found? People have asked for this. And I thought I was sold out, and I just found some. Magnets that read, are you here out of hunger or out of habit? And then below here it says, if hunger is not your problem, food is not the answer. Go Keto with Casey. And there's a picture of a refrigerator. So those are back on sale at my blog for $5. Okay, beyond that, I want to turn attention to the lovely people who show up here and comment. But I'm just going to reiterate, this is not for everyone immediately. Some people need a couple of at-bats. And I know that there was a comment, because when I was first logging on, from someone who is originally from Zimbabwe but is in Northern Ireland. She said she's trying again. And raise your hand if you've tried more than once. And raise 2 hands if you've tried more than once and now you're finding success. And I will put myself there. 2 hands up. And let's see. Hey, Denise, I want it for my husband more than he wants it. He just isn't ready. I've pleaded with him to try keto for his joint pain, weight, and anxiety. I backed off because he isn't ready. And we don't want to be in a position, and maybe this is a message that can gently be communicated to our partners who just won't. We take each other, whether we have a formal marriage or not. The point is we take each other for better or for worse, in sickness and in health. Absolutely. But you could resent someone if they had a way to preserve their health and avoid the sickness, and they don't do it. You don't want to become nurse to a person who just wouldn't give up the Oreos. Thank you for sharing that, Denise. Yep, here we go. 2 hands, 1 hand, Lily Gordon. Oh my gosh, Kelly Carr has 3 hands up. So she's tried a bunch of times. Nancy Fennel. Mikos, is it Miko S. Danes or Mikos Danes? I want to pronounce your name correctly. Love your little daily snippets for Patreon. Those videos are a great start in my day. Sets me off in the right direction. Thank you. I will be honest with you. They help set me off in the right direction because the suggestions that are posted on the snippet topic suggestion spreadsheet, which is always linked below they make me think. Some of the questions I never have thought about myself. A great question. How is your relationship with yourself changed? That was a great question. I know it has, but I hadn't really thought about it. Kelly writes, my husband has weighed the same for 40 years, naturally thin, worried about losing too much weight. Just eat more fat and larger meals. Okay, my husband is trim, low body fat. He'd put on a little bit of weight when he turned 50. About 6 months into me doing this, he said, well, I'm going to try that. And he's from Colombia, South America. Our days were about rice and beans and tortilla chips and potatoes and yuca, et cetera, et cetera. So he immediately got to his ideal weight, in 12 hours. And he continues to eat this way. Yes, he eats more food than I do. And he can have more dietary fat. So the foods that he eats will have more fat in them. And he maintains his weight. He's like rock steady. Okay, Jenny Gibson, 2 hands, possibly 3, thumbs up, but definitely successful this time. Yay! Katie Knight, and she's a member of the club. She has an avocado icon. Hands up. Debbie Longenecker, 2 hands. This lifestyle is the only way I can physically, mentally feel well. Shell writes, Kelly Carr, yes, more fat. Okay, and why would that be? It's not because you're trying to put on weight. If you're burning fat for fuel, which is what being in ketosis means, that's all it means. It doesn't mean weight loss. It means burning fat for fuel. If you have onboard body fat stores, that's what you want to burn, right? So you just eat fatty sources of protein, but don't have a lot of added dietary fat. If you've burned the body fat that you want and your energy requirements call for it, that's where you add a bit of extra dietary fat, not tons of it. But yeah, maybe some fat bombs, maybe a little extra sour cream, things like that. And based it on how well he feels. Liz Pino, hey Liz, hand. Married to you, 1 hand. I found keto and I was free. I'm 63, down over 60 pounds for 2 years. Brava. Melissa Anderson, hands up. Stacy Gorton-O'Fee, the one thing I've struggled with is the hidden sugar in things like fish. I've definitely learned to read labels since starting this journey. Okay, it must be prepared fish because I don't know of any fish that has sugar in it. But yes, label reading is key. And almost any prepared food is just the opposite way to go. Gray's Custom Trim usually chimes in here, and if it has the word keto, and I agree. If it has the word keto on the label, steer clear. Gail, 1 hand up. But read labels. And don't look at the front label. They'll say anything they want up there. That's where they put how many grams of protein there is. There's not a minimum required amount of protein overall. It is individual to the person. And they'll do net carbs. And then you look on the back and it's, 17 grams of carbohydrate. Okay, so Jay Carter writes, very successful initially, now stalled for 3 months. Now what? Okay, so when I talk with people one-on-one, they say exactly what you've said. Here's what I do. Are you in ketosis? You don't have to test, but if you really want to know, are you in ketosis? You can test with the urine strips or the blood strips or whatever. Or, usually when appetite is suppressed, that's the first sign. And so, yes, I'm in ketosis. I'm showing, okay, great. So you're burning fat for fuel. The next question is, are you overeating dietary fat? Are you doing fat bombs? MCT oil in your coffee. By the way, it's not part of the protocol. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nope. I just eat the fat that comes with the protein. Okay. You're burning fat for fuel. You're not eating added dietary fat. And you're not losing inches or ounces, because losing inches without losing on the scale is a thing. So if you're not losing inches either, your clothes are not looser, then that would indicate to me that you now know how much food to eat to maintain your weight. You need to eat less food. And the not eating, if not hungry, is the hardest part of this to me. We are habitual eaters. We have been conditioned over decades, from birth just about. And sometimes our parents were conditioned. We eat more food than we need, and their food is ridiculously abundant. You can't go anywhere without finding food. You can't go into a gas station. I mean, Sheetz now has like a restaurant. And you can get apps and just pull up, or they'll deliver it to your door. So I would say eat less food. My friend Amy Berger wrote the Stall Slayer. And I said this to her and in front of her and said, if I wrote a book, it would be like one sentence long. Eat less food. But she's much smarter than I am. So you might check out her book. Okay. Hey, Scott. Good to see you. He's a member of the club, too. Letha Lampkin writes, will I ever be ready? I want to do this so bad. But no, I sabotage myself. So, Letha, a lot of people can say that. I made a video a long time ago on self-sabotage. Why? Why do we? Now, I was thinking, because I'll hear from people, I just can't go 6 days in a row. Just do a little thought experiment. If that's the way you feel. Now, first of all, if we say that to ourselves, then we make it come true. We have to stop saying what we can't do, or saying negative things that we do. I always self-sabotage, and start replacing those thoughts with, I'm going to make it 7 days for the first time. I'm going to do it. Or I'm not going to self-sabotage. But take it a thing further. If you really believe that you can't resist whatever it is, the bloomin' onion at Outback, ask yourself, if someone offered me $10,000 to not eat that bloomin' onion, would I be able to? Well, of course you would be able to. Not even, of course. So you are able to. We are able to do things. We tell ourselves we can't, and so we don't. I told myself out loud and in my brain for years, even though I knew low carb was the way for me to go. I can't go without eating tortilla chips. I said it. I can't go without eating tortilla chips. We would buy the Abuelita tortilla chips, these big giant bags of them from Costco, 5 at a time. And you know what? I couldn't go without tortilla chips until I did. And now I don't think about tortilla chips. We go to a Mexican restaurant. We wave off the tortilla chips, leave the salsa, and we drizzle it on our food. No rice, no beans. We enjoy the meal. So we need to stop. Or look at the inverse about the $10,000. Say to yourself, if I eat that bloomin' onion, I'm going to have to put $10 in a jar. Every time I do something, I have to put $10 in a jar. Well, think how much money you can save. We just have to I'm going to be blunt as a spoon. We are in control of what we put in our mouths. Period. That's a fact. None of us are pinned down and force-fed bloomin' onions or Girl Scout cookies or bagels or donuts or bran muffins for that matter. By the way, it doesn't matter how the carbs come into our bodies, whether it's a Ezekiel bread or a bran muffin or a Snickers bar or whole grain homemade toast, comes out of simple sugar, glucose. We are in charge of what we put in our mouths. I had to come to grips with that. I still have to remind myself often, I don't eat if I'm not hungry. I will find myself standing right there in front of that refrigerator with the doors open, not unlike the photo in this magnet. That is not my refrigerator, by the way. And I'll say, why am I here? What am I doing here? I don't need any of this. Close the door back, but I have to remind myself. I've been doing this for 7 years. Gail writes, oh dear, lost both parents to heart disease, one sister to heart disease and diabetes. I have another sister who is ill now. I'm 63 and healthy still. I eat keto to stay healthy. I'm down, 140 pounds. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Unless Gray's custom trim shows up, you get the chicken dinner. And isn't it nice that we can have a chicken dinner? That is great. Veggie Girl writes, when the pain returns after eating it, you stop eating it. For a lot of people, the canary in the coal mine is it doesn't take long and it doesn't take much. You overeat some carbs and joint pain comes almost immediately. For some people, they can be fine with their asthma. They have too many carbs. They need their emergency inhaler. For some people, they just blow up like a pufferfish, retaining water. So we have to learn ourselves. It's not for everyone. It would work for everyone, but not everyone's going to do it, and that's okay. You're not failing as a human if you don't do keto, but get healthy in a way that works for you. If it is move more, eat less, do that. If it is, low fat and vegan, do that. The point is to get healthy, however that is. I certainly have no vested interest in how anyone else conducts their food decisions. If my husband, my lovely mate, was making really poor decisions and was suffering ill health from it, I might have something to say about that. But at the same time, no matter what I would say about it, it has to be his decision. I'm fortunate he didn't really have a weight issue. He doesn't have food issues. He doesn't have health issues. He wanted to forestall any of that. He's a smart guy. Okay, Ann Taft writes, hi, Casey, Wyndham, Ohio. Well under 20 carbs for a year at least. Feel much better. Glucose, much better. Off insulin, not losing weight. You're eating too much food. Now, are you getting smaller? Because losing inches without losing weight, yeah. If you're not losing weight, not gaining weight, you're burning fat for fuel, your blood sugar's good, you now know how much to eat to maintain your weight, which for some of us was a revelation because we would put on weight every year. Marian Al-Kabir writes, many people choose to take medications instead of changing their diet. So unfortunate. But that's not even anything new, is it? No, there are people say, I'll keep taking my insulin, but I'm not giving up dessert. Okay. There are people that, okay, I'll have my oxygen on and I'll take it all off so that I can go ahead and smoke my cigarette. This is nothing new. Ultimately, our choices are our choices. We have to not feel victimized by food. Did I say that right? Victimized, yes. Victimized by food. Okay, my t-shirt. I'm stronger than a cookie. You can see that below as well. I'm just trying to earn my keep here, guys. And I just came up with a water bottle. That's really silly. You can see it at Teespring. But we tell ourselves, I'm okay, self-sabotage, or I could only make it for 5 days. And then comes Friday night and we go out and we get fish and chips. And I cannot resist it. We've done it every night for 20 years, every Friday night for 20 years. You can resist the fish and chips. You can. If you choose not to, then that's fine. But just own it. I choose not to. I made a decision to dive headlong into the barrel of pretzels, whatever it might be. But don't say, I slipped. No, you jumped. My friend Jen shared that. You know, we tell her, I wrote a blog post about falling off the wagon. No, we make a decision to get ourselves off the wagon. We're not victims. There's enough in our lives over which we have no control. We need to control what we put in our mouths and how it impacts our health. Okay, friends. Any parting shots? I'm going to go ahead and wind up. Do I have any reminders for you? No. You can register for the next Durham support group meeting with Dr. Eric Westman and me on Crowdcast. You can either follow me on Crowdcast. It's free. It is a registered event and spots are limited. Or you can register from my blog. You can see a whole bunch of stuff on my blog. Blog. All right, guys. Thank you a lot. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day. Total carbs, not net. If it's not on page 4, link below. Don't eat it, but you don't even need a food list. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satiated. We don't have to make ourselves pop when we're eating. Okay. Thank you very much. And I will see you next time. God willing, and the creek don't rise. Bye.